Welcome everyone. Today we have a new Path of Exile 2 itemization and also trading guide. Looking behind me, I have collected a lot of screenshots that was demonstrated in the Path of Exile 2 livestream with additional notes and also additional summaries towards those trading and also important information. We're also looking into the trading platform that will be available on Path of Exile 2 and how this can benefit players, and also the potential for additional recipes like Path of Exile 1 for Path of Exile 2. We'll be going through the most important currencies, including gold, and how you want to get gold, what can you use gold for, and what are the essential values for gold, and what you should be aware of. So hopefully by the end of this video, you have a good understanding of the items, the trading, the disenchantment, and also what's important to be aware in Path of Exile 2 as you start the early access. Now before we dive into my notes, I think it's much easier if we watch the live stream about the itemizations and also trading first, then I try to explain things in more details. So let's come over to this particular video.
Now we haven't even talked about the most important element of character progression, items. That's why we're all here, right? Items in Path of Exile can be broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal, magic, rare, and unique. One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is upgrade the items you find, and you can do that with currency items. An Orb of Transmutation will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with 1 mod. You can then apply an Orb of Augmentation to add a 2nd mod, then use a Regal Orb to add a 3rd mod, and upgrade it to a rare. Finally, you can use some Exalted Orbs to add more mods to your rare to a total of 6 mods. One of the things we think is really important is to make these options available to use as you play. All the items that add mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile 1, so that you can use them throughout your campaign playthrough. We want you to find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently. As well as making the drop rates on these items much more common, you can also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item vendor. If you disenchant magic items, you can build up to an Orb of Transmutation, and by disenchanting rares, you can build up to Regal Orbs. Another important area of crafting items in PoE 2 is sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item. If I insert this glacial rune into my helmet, it will give extra cold resistance. This is a great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage. If you find socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an Artificer's Orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body armors and 2-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and 1-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost. If you don't want to disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold. Gold can be used to buy items from vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful. Every time you level up, they get more stock, so make sure to check back often. Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and you'll get a random item of a specific type. This could be a great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky. Gold is also used to respec your passive skills. Take advantage of this system to experiment with your tree and rework it as required. The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange. This allows you to exchange currency items with other players on an open market, in exchange for a small gold fee. Now, all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character, except gold.
So that was quite a bit to go through, right? Now there's a little longer about the unique items, but let's not do too much at this moment. So how you want to use this video is, now make sure you use the timestamps below, because I'll try to categorize this into different categories as we go through this video. Maybe some parts you already know, maybe some parts will be very useful for you, depending on how experienced you are with Path of Exile 1 and also PoE 2. So as you guys can see on the notes over here, as a brief summary, because items are categorized into 4 categories, even the basic item might have value, because they might be a very good item base. Some item base can sell for a lot of fortunes of currencies in Path of Exile 1, and this may be the case in PoE 2, and once I get information, I'll keep you guys updated. With magical and also rare items, usually we do want to keep the rare items because they can have a lot more modifiers. And you can see over here, those items can have up to 6 modifiers, and this is when the crafting behind PoE 2 will become very interesting and also creative, which we'll touch on under the video. if you do find yourself a unique item, this is actually a really good time to try those items out and try to not sell them or just not dump them too quickly, because you never know, this can be a game-changing unique. Now, just on the topic of game-changing uniques, this is a recipe for Path Exile 1. Some unique items can be sold to the vendor in exchange of another unique item. So I'll be looking forward to similar recipe for Path of Exile 2 for you guys. So make sure you guys keep all your unique items, because those items can potentially lead up to additional hidden unique items in the game. Now, because there's a lot that went through in a really short clip of the demonstration video, what you can see is the first thing you want to notice as you play the game is about disenchanting items. And as you saw over here, the demonstration showed 4 different currencies of orbs that turns items into magic items, that adds additional modifier to magic items, and that turn magic item into rare items, and then it add another modifier to rare items with exalted orb. So here, what I want to do is I want to provide you guys with a little summary of what is happening over here. So usually we have a basic item with a right base. Let's say if your class want a bow, right? So you find a bow and then you convert this into a magical item. Now what most veteran PoE players will do is they will start rolling on a good modifier onto these magical items, because it's cheaper to have orb of augmentation compared to the other orbs like exalted orbs in most cases. So they are rolling into a good modifier before they turn this one into a rare item. And once you turn this into a rare item, you can add additional modifiers. And because this process is made this way, so you're using the cheaper orbs and also currencies first before you use the more expensive ones, like the exalted orbs we saw in the demonstration, this is actually a very good process to learn if you're new to Path of Exile 2. Now the second question is, what items should you be vendoring to the NPCs, or what items should you be keeping in your stash or in your inventory, coming back to town and also disenchanting them? So for me in particular, getting magic items and also disenchanting them for the Orb of Transmutation shard may be a little bait, because you only have limited amount of inventory slot. And let me show you guys in some of the examples. Notice that inventory slot while in combat is very minimal. So you don't want to be coming back to the town multiple times just for a shard of Orb of Transmutation. It may be possible that in early games you might want to disenchant rare items, but in later stage of the game, a lot of players only pick up good rare items. They don't even try to exchange rare items for regular orb, because that will delay the process too much. They don't want to keep going back to the town. Now during this time, it is quite important to notice that disenchanting socket items and also items with quality may be something you want to do in the early stage of the game, because this will give you the artifact orb, which allows you to socket items, which will provide you with additional stats as you socket those ruins, and items with quality will make a big difference in the late game. I'm not sure if you guys noticed in the video, but the demonstration was a 9% quality, a 16% quality, and a 20% quality. And in this demonstration, you can notice that they were getting 2 scraps and also stones, and 3 and also 4 in respective. So you do want to find items with higher quality, which will provide you with more quality items, which you can then use to make your item stronger in the end game. So this is just a reference, and in the future I'll find the exact number you wanted to get as much quality items to be disenchanted. Now as we keep going, we come over to one important currency that is introduced in Path of Exile 2 that was not in Path of Exile 1, and this is items and also gold. So you can be buying and also selling weapons, items with gold. And gold is an untradeable currency that you can only get from killing monsters and also playing the game. And gold has multiple usage, so it's very important for us to understand this important currency. So the first usage for gold is that you can be buying items in the vendors, and those items can be restocked each time your character levels up. And this can be a massive boost to your progression if you get +1 rank skills, special skills, and also modifier to items you need for your build. Now by the looks of it, the demonstration over here shows that magic items are selling for around 3 times the price compared to basic items, and this may be similar for the rare items. So the more higher the rarity the item is, the more gold it has to be for purchasing them and also selling them. Something you do want to notice is that if you're selling items, you're actually getting much less gold than what you paid for the vendors. on my estimation, it is roughly around 1 to 6 or even less percentage of selling compared to buying, which is to be expected. You can't buy the item and also sell the items for the same price, right? Now, a good feature of the game is that you can be gambling with your gold, but I do recommend us to do this sparingly and maybe avoid gambling at the very start of the early access. Because gambling with gold will provide you with random items, notice here the demonstration was gambling wand with 1,300 gold. And it just happens, while the demonstration was very lucky, he got a pretty nice rare item that is only selling for 600 gold. So notice that even though he got a rare item, he lost gold through gambling. Now you can say this is a very good item. And of course, gold can be a really good in-game sink when you have too much gold. But in the early games, gold is used for majority of 3 things. One is buying items in the shop for upgrades and also items you needed, which is a more secure way compared to gambling. The second one is to respec your points. You can be changing your build or your path of skill tree by respecing points. And each respecting point that you reallocate will cost 356 gold. And this is something you need to be aware, because every 356 gold means you can change 1 passive skill point. And this can be incrementally important if you're missing just 1 or 2 or many of those points for your in-game build. So that's why in early game, you don't want to be gambling too much, but saving your gold for respec points or buying better items in the shops. Now, on the topic of buying items from the shops, it is possible that we see an item of higher quality or item with preferable selling ratio. So remember previously we talked about selling items or disenchanting items for a particular recipe or for particular orbs. So maybe it's also possible to use gold to buy certain rare items or even blue magical items because they have higher quality, or maybe they have a socket on. So this is something you want to be aware, the multiple uses of gold when you buy items from the shops. Now, of course, during this time, we're not sure if we can be gambling for unique items, because some unique items can be very rare and also very game-changing in Path of Exile, in Path of Exile 1 or Path of Exile 2. And if we can get unique items, maybe then gambling for those items may be a more profitable way in the end game once you have enough gold. And of course, guys, finally, talking about gold, there is also ways of trading on the platform for different currencies. So there's an in-game currency exchange, which allows you to be listing items you wanted for a flat gold fee. This looks like to be around 25 gold to place an order, and once we have replaced the order, we can be looking for currencies we want to trade for the currencies we wanted to get. So now coming over to the next part about trading with currency exchange. So let's come over to the macro demonstration over here, which we can look into trading with different currencies and also using the trading exchange. So going through the notes over here, what we need to understand is on the left-hand side is what I want. So this is the currency I want to get. And on the right-hand side is the currencies I want to offer. And basically you can adjust the odds and also what you're looking for. But it's important to notice that those rates will be based on the market and also how willing the players are willing to trade. A lot of players will not be willing to take a bad trade. At the same time, you want to make sure you're not giving away free currencies or free items because you're listing yourself on a bad trade. So it's quite important to price check before you're listing so you don't short sell your items, or maybe if you're listing items for too expensive, maybe no one will be buying those. Now, before we even start listing, we need to know what items you can list on the POE in-game exchange. So by the looks of it, anything that is stackable that is related to currency can be listed. And those are the list of items that can be stacked in the game. There are a lot of items that cannot be stacked in the game, including gears, weapons, unique items, crafting items, and also special jewels and also socketed gems. And those items that is not tradable will be able to trade on the Path of Exile official website. And this is actually a quite important feature if you guys haven't traded on this website. This is when 90% of the trade takes place, even though this is trading in-game, but this is when majority of the players will be trading because this is what everyone did in Path of Exile 1. So now just briefly going through the exchange usage and also mechanics in the game for Path of Exile 2. you can see there's a list of items and also currencies you can select. And once you select the right ones to exchange and also offer, again guys, I'll have another video to show you guys how you want to list the items and what items is of value, because you need to know this before you give your items away for free, right? So once you have determined the ratio and also the market value of those items, and you have listed the exchange, by the looks of it, if we come back to our notes, notice that once the order is placed, you're waiting for someone to fulfill the order. And by placing the order, you're already spending 25 gold. This won't be the most expensive way to trade, and this allows for some additional ways of getting free currencies or free arbitrage by trading with your gold using the price difference between the website and also the in-game exchange. Now coming over to a third part. A lot of you will have more experience on Path of Exile 1, and most of you might know how to trade on this part. So you can jump to the next part if you've already seen this part and you know how to trade on Path of Exile 1. And just so you guys, if you're not sure how to trade, I do have a previous video that teaches people how to trade on Path of Exile 1. It is very similar to do the same for Path of Exile 2, I would assume, and this covers all the basics. So I have the links available for you to have a look at this video on how to trade, how to contact players, how to list items, how to buy and also sell items, and how you want to do this. On the second video I want to show you guys is how you can make a lot of currencies and also free money or free items as you learn how to trade. There are usage of the recipes which allows you to make free exchange money, because you just buy 3 of the rings, you exchange for 1 of them, they'll sell this ring for a higher price than what you bought for all of those 3 basic rings. So there are formulas and recipes behind Path of Exile 1, and of course soon I'll be looking into all the recipes for Path of Exile 2. Because this is how you take advantage of the new system and also the new trading platform and getting your understandings where you can be getting a lot of good items compared to the players who are not aware of this, right? So here, make sure you watch those 2 videos. This is for basic starting how to trade on the website. Then this part is for more advanced trading on Path of Exile 1, which can be used into Path of Exile 2. So once you guys are familiar with the trading platform, you can see there is also exchanges over here that allows you to be trading in bulk amount of items. And once you understand this system, you can see that you can be exchanging items also on the platform compared to the website. So there are 2 ways to exchange this. But notice that if you're trading on the website, it doesn't cost any additional fees, but it is not in the game. So you actually want to understand how you want to trade and what are the trade equities when you're trading on the website. I have found this very nice post that is shared on Path of Exile 2 on how players are trading on Path of Exile 1. And if you guys are planning to trade in Path of Exile 2, I do recommend understanding this. There's a lot of basic understandings you need to understand, because Path of Exile 1 players can be a little impatient when they're trading, and you want to understand those parts so you don't get scammed, you don't piss this player off, or you don't get blocked because you're not doing the trading correctly. The biggest part you want to take is be careful with scammers. Because as you trade in Path of Exile 2, and it is always player-to-player trading, some people, a lot of people, no, I mean not a lot, but I have been scammed a number of times. There's ways of players can get scammed. So the best advice I want to give to you guys while trading on the website, which is unavoidable, and it's a good system, I love it, but there are scammers. So be extra careful about scammers, and understanding those trading equities will take you a long way as you trade for Path of Exile 2. Now finally, before we finish, let's briefly talk about the concept of how you can make untradable gold tradable. So this is something I want to discuss. In the demonstration of livestream, the developer said gold are not tradable. You can only get gold by killing monsters and also by playing the game. And even though gold is not tradable, it is one of the essential resources that you can use for respecting points, you can use to gamble, you can use to get items. But at the same time, you need to be aware that gold can be somewhat making up for the price difference between the website item exchange and also the in-game item exchange. And there will be a price difference. The price difference for maybe 1 Exalted Orb compared to 1 Chaos Orb will be the difference that actually allows you to trade your gold by spending gold for other currencies. Now this can be a little more complicated idea, and I want to share this idea with you guys so that you're aware the value of your gold. So don't spend gold too freely, don't gamble them away too quickly, because you will never know. In the end game, by using your gold and by getting some freebies on the exchange, what might be happening is every 25 gold might get you one or few additional currencies or orbs simply because the price on the exchange in the game is much cheaper. And if that is the case, you can be trading for, items on the website and then coming back in the game and trading in the game with your gold to make additional profit. So this is something I want to do for you guys in the future, and stay tuned for this part because I'm a big trader for all the games. I love to trade, and there will be a lot of coverage about trading. Now, before we finish, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on our official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is going to be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.